Welcome back, everyone. So today I hope you are doing well, and I have a topic today that is heat. So we'll discuss on heat. What is heat? Okay, heat is what? It is a form of energy. It is a form of energy. It makes things hot. Okay, if you boil if you boil water, what happens? It boils and it makes things hot. It makes the water hot, and it flows from a hotter object to a colder object. Then now let's see the difference between heat and temperature. What is the difference between heat and temperature? Heat is a form of energy. It is a form of energy, okay? Then it is measured in what? Joules. Joules. It is measured in joules and it depends on the mass and substance, okay? So this is all about heat. It is a form of energy, it is measured in joules, and it depends on the mass and substance. Mass and substance means which object you're using for heating, okay? Then next we come to temperature. What is temperature? Temperature measures hotness. It measures the amount of heat, okay, that is being used. And then it is measured in degree Celsius, degree Fahrenheit, and degree Kelvin. Okay, and it does not depend on any substance or mass. It does not depend on any object. Okay, so that is temperature. Now let's see the scales. How do you measure temperature? Okay, we use the object known as thermometer. An instrument known as thermometer to measure the amount of temperature. So what are the scales used for degree Celsius? For Celsius, it is degree Celsius. For Fahrenheit, it is degree Fahrenheit. And for Kelvin, it is degree Kelvin. Okay. So this is the scale used for measuring temperature. Next, let's see the formula for degree Celsius, degree Kelvin, and degree Fahrenheit. So for degree Celsius, we have 5 by 9 in bracket F Fahrenheit minus 32. And then for Fahrenheit, we have 9 by 5 in bracket degree Celsius plus 32. And for Kelvin, we have the formula degree Celsius plus 273. This you have to memorize, okay, the formula. So now let's see how we measure the temperature, okay. There are two types of thermometer. Thermometer is used for what? It is an instrument used for measuring temperature. So there are two types of thermometer, that is clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. For clinical thermometer, what does it do? It measures human body temperature, okay. We use a thermometer to measure the human body temperature. If you have, for example, if you have fever, we'll check the temperature, okay. Then it contains what? Inside the thermometer, it contains mercury. Okay, to measure temperature. Then temperature range is from 35 degrees Celsius to 42 degrees Celsius. The normal body temperature of a human is how much? 37 degrees Celsius, and in Fahrenheit it is how much? 98.6 degree Fahrenheit. Okay. Now let's discuss on the laboratory thermometer. What does the laboratory thermometer do? It measures temperature of other objects or other substances, okay, apart from human body. And then the ranges is from 10 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius, okay. So I hope now you know the difference between clinical and laboratory thermometer. Then now let's see the effects of heat. What are the effects of heat? What does the heat do? It helps with the expansion, okay. Expansion, objects become bigger when heated. So when you heat any object, okay, or substance, it becomes bigger when heated. Then next, change of state. So it will change its state from solid to liquid or to gas, okay. Then Next, we have increase in temperature. What do you understand by increase in temperature? It means that it makes things hotter. Okay, if you boil water or if you boil milk, what happens? The milk or water will become heated and it will start to boil at a certain temperature. Okay. Now, what are the modes of heat transfer? There are three modes of heat transfer. Number one is conduction. Number two is convection. And thirdly, we have radiation. Okay. Now, let's carry on with the modes of heat transfer. What are the modes of heat transfer? Conduction, convection, and radiation. Okay. So what is conduction? What is conduction? When the heat moves through solids. Okay. Through solids, when you heat a pan or when you heat a utensil, okay, the heat will move through solid utensils. Then heat flows from particle to particle. Next, heat. The good conductors of heat are what? Metals like copper, aluminium. That is why we use these copper, aluminium, steel for boiling or cooking. Okay. Then poor conductors. What are the poor conductors? And the other word for poor conductor is known as insulator. What are the poor conductors? We'll see wood. Wood, for example, this one, it's made of wood, so the heat will be difficult to transfer. Okay. Then plastics. Okay. And then also rubber. These are bad conductors of heat, which means that heat will not easily be transferred through these objects. Okay, wood, plastic, and rubber. Next, we have convection. What is convection? When heat transfers through solid and gases. Okay, that is known as convection. Then, hot particles rise while cold particles they sink. The convection currents. When you boil water, what happens? The hot particle will rise up and the cold particles will sink for convection currents. So next, let's see radiation. What is radiation? Heat transfer without any medium. Okay, without any medium is known as radiation. Like they don't need any object or substance for the transfer of heat. And then, for example, sun's heat reaches the earth by what? Radiation. Okay, through radiation. Okay, now what are let's see the effects of heat. What are the effects of heat? क्या होगा heat की वजह से? Temperature rise हो जाएगा. It will increase in the temperature, and then if you क्या होगा? Substance को heat करेगा तो क्या होगा? Expansion. Okay, so expansion of substances. Then next we have change of state. So from solid it can turn into liquid, or if you boil liquid it can turn into gas also. Okay, these are the three states, that is solid, liquid, and gas. Now let's discuss on the specific heat capacity. What is the specific heat capacity? The amount of heat needed to raise the temperature of 1 kg of substance by 1 degree Celsius. Okay, understand? So the amount of heat needed to raise the temperature of 1 kg of substance by 1 degree Celsius. That is the specific heat capacity. And the unit for heat capacity is what? Joule 1 kg degree Celsius. That is the unit of heat capacity. Next, let's see the thermal equilibrium. What is the thermal equilibrium? When two objects are in contact in the thermal equilibrium, they reach the same temperature. Okay, so that is known as thermal equilibrium. Now let's see the important terms. Important terms in this topic that we have discussed today is conductor, insulator, and thermometer. Okay. Now let's see the formula, okay, for heat. Okay, so what is the formula? The formula is heat gained and lost, okay, or lost. Q stands for what? It's the heat. Okay, heat is equal to mass into specific heat capacity C into change in temperature. So this is the formula, okay, whereby Q stands for heat, okay. So SI unit of heat is what? Joules. M stands for what? Mass, that is kg, okay. Then C stands for what? Specific heat capacity, that is joules per kg degree Celsius, and this one T stands for change in temperature, which is measured in degree Celsius. So I hope you have understood. So we have discussed today the heat. What is heat? What is temperature? What are the instruments used to measure temperature? The modes of heat transfer. Then the clinical thermometer, laboratory thermometer, thermal equilibrium, specific heat capacity. Okay. So and the formulas related to how you will calculate the temperature. Okay. So next, please go through the MCQ questions also. It will be given in the video itself. Thank you very much. That is